Playing on a Budget is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the best Magic the Gathering singles and sealed retailer on the internet, GatheringMagic.com, your #1 source for Magic the Gathering news and content, and RogueDeckBuilder.com, my personal channel filled with innovative and entertaining Magic the Gathering rogue brews. Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com with this week's episode of Playing on a Budget. We're back to some budget brews in Modern, and there's a Goblins list going around that's actually doing quite well against the Eldrazi Menace. I think that's the way that you have to beat Eldrazi, is you have to go quicker than Eldrazi. You don't try to play a mid-range or a combo-based strategy that takes a few turns to actually go off. So Goblins are incredibly quick, and the difference between Goblins and Burn is that you can consistently dish out more damage if the board state is not interacted with than Burn. Burn is trying to get in like 4 or 5 damage per turn, and then eventually just get there by turn 4 or turn 5. This deck can win, I believe, on turn 3 quite consistently, and it's usually turn 4 when it finishes the game. This is a budget version, so unfortunately we don't have room to bring in the best card, I would say, in the deck, which is the Goblin Guide, but we are going to run some like Mogg Fanatics, and I actually think that the Goblin Arsonist will be a decent little addition to the deck, because what we're really trying to win is through both either the Goblin Piledriver, which does want a 1-drop out, or the Bushwhackers, or either one of either the Reckless Bushwhacker or the Goblin Bushwhacker. And that's what really makes this deck key now, is we have the Reckless Bushwhackers and Goblin Bushwhackers, so a total of 8 ways to give haste and +1/+0 to all of our creatures. And then we can do the rest of the damage through lightning bolts or Goblin Grenades. And bolts and grenades can also be used to clear the board. So we really do need to race the Eldrazi, like Thought-Knot Seers and the Reality Smashers. The Mimics and early game through, like Endless One, is also a bit of an issue. I'm thinking about maybe putting in some sort of Act of Treason type card in the sideboard, especially for the Eldrazi, but I think that I don't want to rely on that being the win condition. So this deck needs to be very quick. We run cards like Legion Loyalist is good versus a lot of the newer versions of Eldrazi, so they can't block with their tokens. And also the Trample can get through. So the Eldrazi Mimics and the Endless Ones that are just 2/2s, a lot of times you can at least get some Trample damage through. So we're going to run a full play set of the Bushwhackers, of both the Reckless Bushwhackers and the Goblin Bushwhackers. And then the Mogg War Marshal, because it creates a lot of tokens. And we do want some sort of, this is our only 2-for-1 in the deck, is it's creating 2 cards for 1 card, which is going to be the Mogg War Marshal. We're going to run a full playset of Goblin Piledrivers, a full playset of the Mogg Fanatics, and Lightning Bolts and Goblin Grenades, and then just 2 Goblin Arsonists and 1 Frenzied Goblin that can keep things from blocking by paying a red. The Goblin Chieftain is also what kind of differs from my list from the other lists that have been being played a lot on MTGO is I'm running all 4 of the Goblin Chieftains. I think we need the ability to give like the Wardrivers haste and the Mogg War Marshal and tokens haste. The sideboard is very specific. We have 4 Smash to Smithereens that are specifically in here for the Affinity matchup. It also gets rid of the Chalice on 1, and can also get rid of Ensnaring Bridge, which can be a problem. We have Skullcrack just for any life gain deck, and Forked Bolts versus any of the Collected Company based decks. You can actually split damage and kill. This is also very good versus Affinity. You can kill off 2 of their 1/1s, like a Steel Overseer and a Vault Scourge or something. We have Searing Bloods, which are good versus other creature-based decks, and then 2 Dragon's Claws. This really comes in just versus Burn, as this will get you above the life total. And if you see a Dragon's Claw versus Burn, a lot of times they can't. They definitely can't race you, because all of your spells are red, and all their spells are red, and you'll be gaining a ton of life. So let's just go over to the list here on CoolStuffInc.com, our sponsors, to see it's a very, very budget. An $80 deck for Modern is unheard of these days. A lot of these even tier 2 or tier 3. To give you a little bit of perspective, I built my Soul Sisters deck back in the day for $80, and now if you were to look at my Soul Sisters deck, it is over $400 with the current way I have it built. So it's very hard to stick under a $200 budget, and especially very hard to get under a $100 budget with Modern. And I know I've done Goblins a lot in the past. This is just kind of a new version that runs all the Bushwhackers. We'll see how well the deck does, but it's very similar to lists in the past. So the most expensive card in this deck is actually going to be the Goblin War Chief. or Goblin Chieftain, which is going to be around $5.50 a piece. So anyway, we'll queue this up and see how well we do, see if we can see some Eldrazi matches, which we should, because according to most of the statistics, it's 40% of the metagame right now is going to be Eldrazi. So if it can compete against Eldrazi, then this would be a smart choice. If not, then we'll have to go back to the drawing board and see what we can do against Eldrazi. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Playing on a Budget. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Gathering Magic and check out our Playing on a Budget playlist, which contains every episode. Thanks again and hope to see you soon.